Time to start with an active reconnaissance, video 4. We will be using NMAP and Zenmap. The only difference between the two is that Zenmap is more of a GUI way of doing things. NMAP has a few things that it can do for you, like for example, taking inventory, checking service uptimes, managing servers like which ports are being used and which not, monitoring what's going on the servers. It is a great tool for auditing purposes, and it can also be used for something known as NSE, which we will cover later on. Okay, so NMAP is the scanning tool, like I said. Well, a scanning tool that can give you so much information and can actually give you entry. Look at it this way. If you have an IP address by means of a passive reconnaissance, you can scan in NMAP to see if there's any open ports. Let's say you find a specific open port. Then we're going to run a vulnerability scanner on that port to see if it's vulnerable. So then you have an IP, an open port, and a vulnerability on that port. All you need to do then is exploit. So let's go and check out all of this scanning business. Okay, so for security reasons, I'm going to be using my server that I've built, and we're going to perform these scans on the server. I will, however, show you a very quick way how we do it in the industry as well. But for now, I want you to fire up your server machine, and I want you to fire up your Kali, and let's start scanning. Open up your terminal, and in there, I want you to type NMAP. Now, bear in mind, you want to keep your scans stealth. The last thing you want to do is sort of tell your target that you are busy scanning their servers. That is the one ticket to get you into a lot of trouble. So let's go and do a normal stealth scan our own server and see what we can come up with. During this video, I'm going to pause it a couple of times just until the scans are complete. All right, so what we have here is we have done a normal scan that shows that there's 990 closed ports on my server, and there are a few open ports that is normally open by default. Let's go and have a look at another way of scanning quickly. Let's clear the screen, and we're going to say NMAP-S. Why? Because we want to do a stealth scan. What we can also do is we can add an uppercase V if you want to do a verbro scan, which means it really needs to dig into that machine. And again, let's add the IP address of the server that I want to scan. And this time, I'm going to add a -O, not a 0, a -O. This will then come back with information about which operating system my server is running. Bear in mind that I am running on virtual boxes here. So odds are it's probably going to tell me that I'm running a virtual box and give a couple of mixed feelings when it comes down to the actual OS. But we'll check that out in a bit. While that one is running, let's go and open up Zenmap by clicking on Applications at the top, Information Gathering, and then right at the bottom, Zenmap. In Zenmap again, I'm going to say 192.168.8.105 because that is my server. I'm going to head to profile and I'm just going to say new command. We're just going to give it a name and we're going to call it OS. From there, we're going to click on scan and say operating system. There's quite a few scans that you can do here. So guys, please, when you're done with this video, go and play around with all these different scans. It's really pretty awesome. What you can do over here is you can just go and say SS again, just to make sure that it is a stealth scan, and hit scan. Now you'll notice that the type of information that I'm going to get over here is very similar to the type of information that I'm going to get over here as well. Now you'll see that the operating system being used is Oracle VirtualBox. And you will find here that it is identifying the OS as being Windows 2008 to 2012. The reason why it's doing it this way is, like I said, because I'm using virtual machines. But it's pretty decent. So let me go and show you another way of doing this and how we do it in the industry. Now remember, in the previous video, we spoke about NS lookup. So the only thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to add Google because Google's servers are way too strong for you to get into, which makes it a safer option. And that IP address over there is the one that we are going to be copying into Zenmap. Let's just go and have a look at how far that scan is. Okay, it's still busy. Awesome. So my scan is done, and you will notice that it's picking up very similar information to that we found in NMAP. Reason for this, like I said, Zenmap is a GUI form of NMAP. Just like I did previously, it's showing me that it's running anything between 2008 and 2012, and it's also going to telling me that it's an Oracle virtual box. If we click on ports and hosts, it's just going to give me a nice interface of all the ports that's open. If we have a look at the topology and just scan in there a bit, actually very, very clever. It is showing me the IP address of the server that I scanned. It is showing me the IP address of my gateway, and it's even showing me my local machine. If I go to host details, you'll notice that it just gives you a very, very nice interface on how everything is summed up within my scan. Remember the NS lookup that we did? There is the information that it found on that specific IP. Now you'll notice that it's a bit more vast than the one that we have on our server. Remember, our server is unpatched, so it's not going to find that much information in there. But yes, this is NMAP and Zenmap. You can get quite a lot of information off here, like I said, but also bearing in mind, this is something that you need to get used to. You need to get used to the switches that we use. You need to get used to when is it an S, when is it a V, when is it an O, how we put all these things together, how we do specific port scans. I mean, I can go in there and I can go and say -P, and I want to go and do a scan on 53, which is my DNS server. So guys, again, knowing your ports is very, very important for any hacker. But basically, this is it. This is how we use NMAP and Zenmap to give us good information. So NMAP essentially is a very, very old tool, but geez, old school works for me here. So go and play around. And remember, as long as you don't cause any havoc, you're not going to get into trouble for just scanning machines. I'm not saying be stupid. Mail me your feedback. It'll be interesting to see what you come up with. I'll see you in the next video when we're going to cover Maltego. Bye.